That supposedly healthy sugar substitute you meticulously stir into your morning coffee, the one you chose because you thought you were making the responsible choice for your body, could be silently orchestrating a future catastrophe inside your own brain. The very ingredient marketed as a safe haven for diabetics, a shield against the dangers of sugar, may in fact be a hidden trigger for stroke, heart attack, and widespread cellular damage. This isn't fear-mongering or wild speculation. This is the stark conclusion of cutting-edge science, a warning shot fired directly from the laboratory. We are talking about a widely used organic compound called erythritol, the primary sweetener found in countless so-called stevia products sold by massive, trusted brands like Truvia, Splenda, and Wholesome. A bombshell new study has just ripped away the mask of safety, revealing a profoundly disturbing dark side to this seemingly harmless sugar alternative. Today, we are embarking on a deep dive into this alarming new research. We are going to meticulously unpack the scientific evidence, showing you the exact step-by-step process of how this innocent-looking white powder can wage a devastating war on the delicate, life-sustaining lining of your blood vessels. We will investigate the chilling reason why scientists are now placing it in the same dangerous category as the infamous artificial sweetener aspartame. And, most importantly, we will expose the real-world consequences for the tens of millions of people who place their unwavering trust in these sugar-free and diabetic-friendly labels every single day. For many, this information will not just be surprising, it could be genuinely life-altering. For years, erythritol was celebrated as a modern miracle of food science. Having been approved by the United States Food and Drug Administration way back in 2001, it was aggressively pushed and widely hailed as one of the premier sweeteners available on the global market. You have to understand the sheer perfection of its sales pitch, its irresistible allure. Here was an ingredient born from a natural process, the simple fermentation of corn, that delivered a sweetness level remarkably close to real, satisfying sugar. Yet, its magical property was what it didn't do. It barely caused a flicker on insulin or blood sugar level monitors. For anyone navigating the treacherous waters of diabetes management, this wasn't just a convenient food product. It was a revolution. It represented freedom. It was a passport to a world of simple pleasures, allowing a touch of sweetness in their diet without the constant fear of dangerous metabolic spikes. Brands wrapped it in packaging adorned with green leaves and reassuring words like natural and plant-based, often associating it with the stevia plant to bolster its image as a pure, trustworthy, and wholesome choice. It swiftly became a non-negotiable staple, not just in sweeteners, but in keto-friendly ice creams, protein bars, healthy snacks, and sugar-free confections. It became a steadfast ally in the personal battle for better health, deeply woven into the very fabric of the modern wellness industry. But a dark cloud began to form on the horizon in 2023. An initial epidemiological study uncovered a deeply unsettling pattern, a statistical ghost that researchers couldn't exorcise. These types of studies look at large populations over time, and this one found a strong correlation between higher levels of erythritol circulating in a person's bloodstream and a significantly elevated risk of suffering a major cardiovascular event, like a stroke or heart attack. Now, to be clear, a correlation isn't definitive proof of causation. It shows that two things are happening at the same time, but it doesn't prove that one is causing the other. Still, it was an alarming red flag, a disturbing breadcrumb trail leading into the unknown, a clear signal that something was deeply wrong and needed immediate, closer investigation. And now, a dedicated team of scientists has courageously followed that trail to its frankly terrifying source, moving from population statistics to direct biological proof. Enter Professor Christopher D'Souza and graduate student Auburn Berry, researchers at the prestigious University of Colorado Boulder. Deeply unsettled by that initial, ghostly correlation, they set out to discover the truth of what was actually happening at the most fundamental level, the cellular level. Their experiment, as detailed in the esteemed Journal of Applied Physiology, was elegant in its simplicity but devastating in its findings. They took the precise kind of endothelial cells that form the fragile, all-important inner lining of the blood vessels inside our brains. Think of these cells as the vigilant, intelligent gatekeepers of your entire neurological system, the living wallpaper that keeps your circulation smooth and healthy. Then, they bathed these living cells in a solution containing erythritol. Critically, this wasn't some absurd megadose that no human would ever consume. They used an amount equivalent to what is found in a single, standard sugar-free drink. Just one. What they witnessed next under the microscope was a catastrophic cascade of biological failures, a systematic and rapid dismantling of the body's own protective systems. First, they saw a dramatic plunge in a critical molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is your body's natural master regulator for vascular health. It's the chemical messenger that tells your blood vessels to relax, to widen, to be flexible, and to allow oxygen-rich blood to flow freely and smoothly to your brain and heart. It's essential for maintaining healthy blood pressure. With nitric oxide levels plummeting, the vessels instantly became tighter, more rigid, less responsive. It's like turning a wide, smooth 8-lane superhighway into a choked, narrow 2-lane road during peak rush hour. But the cellular nightmare was just beginning. As the good guy molecule of nitric oxide vanished, a villainous protein began to flood the scene. The erythritol-treated cells started to abnormally pump out much higher than normal levels of a compound called endothelin-1. This protein is a potent vasoconstrictor. It does the exact opposite of nitric oxide, forcing blood vessels to aggressively squeeze shut. So now, our metaphorical highway isn't just congested. The concrete walls are physically closing in, crushing the traffic, creating a state of dangerously high pressure. On top of this terrifying mechanical squeeze, the cells began to spew out a veritable storm of what scientists call free radicals. Imagine these as tiny, destructive sparks flying off a dangerously malfunctioning engine, causing damage and chaos wherever they land. This process, called oxidative stress, is like a form of cellular rust, prematurely aging your tissues from the inside out, and it is a known key driver of chronic inflammation and systemic decay. And then came the final, perhaps most frightening blow, which concerned the body's vital emergency response system. Our bodies are equipped with a sophisticated mechanism to handle and dissolve potentially lethal blood clots, a process that involves a compound called thrombin. Clotting is good when you have a cut, but it's deadly when it happens inside a blood vessel. When the researchers tested the erythritol poison cell's ability to react to this clot-forming compound, the response was, in the study's own words, markedly blunted. The very cells that are supposed to be on high alert to manage and break down clots suddenly became lethargic, confused, and dangerously ineffective. They were doing the exact opposite of what they were supposed to do to keep you alive. Let that sink in for a moment. A constricted highway with crumbling, closing walls, a storm of inflammatory sparks causing cellular rust, and a broken-down, unresponsive emergency crew, unable to clear a deadly pileup. This entire biological disaster was triggered by the amount of sweetener from just one single drink. If you are finding this scientific breakdown as profoundly shocking as we are, please take a moment to hit that like button. You'll be helping this critical public health information break through the noise and reach more people who urgently need to hear it. The study's co-author, Auburn Berry, managed to summarize the complex findings into one chillingly direct statement for the press. Big picture, she explained, if your vessels are more constricted and your ability to break down blood clots is lowered, your risk of stroke goes up. There is no ambiguity there. It is a straight, terrifying line from a common food ingredient to a life-threatening medical emergency. And it is absolutely crucial to remember. These devastating effects were observed in cells exposed to the erythritol from just one sugar-free beverage. The lead researcher, Christopher D'Souza, issued an even graver warning for the millions of people who consume more. For individuals enjoying multiple diet sodas, sweetened yogurts, or keto-friendly snacks throughout the day, that inflammatory and vessel-constricting effect could, he warned, be exponentially worse. This disturbing new profile suddenly catapults erythritol into some very notorious and feared company. The research now suggests that its potential for harm is nearly on par with that of aspartame. That is the infamous artificial sweetener used in countless diet sodas. an ingredient that has been engulfed in a firestorm of controversy for decades. Aspartame is a chemical that the World Health Organization's own International Agency for Research on Cancer has officially labeled as possibly carcinogenic to humans. It's an ingredient that has also been independently linked in other studies to an increased risk of both heart attacks and strokes. For so long, erythritol was marketed as the hero, the clean, safe, and natural alternative to scary-sounding chemicals like aspartame. This new research doesn't just challenge that narrative, it completely obliterates it, suggesting they may simply be two different sides of the same dangerous, double-edged sword. But the most gut-wrenching part of this entire story is who is most at risk. Products sweetened with erythritol are not just sold to the general population. They are aggressively and specifically targeted towards people living with diabetes. This is a community of individuals who are often incredibly careful and conscientious about their diet, who have learned to read labels with the focus of a hawk, and who have placed an immense amount of faith in products that promise to help them manage their difficult and lifelong condition. They meticulously count carbs and measure doses, living a life of constant vigilance. Now, they are faced with the horrifying possibility that this trusted tool may have been a Trojan horse. Let us not forget the most crucial piece of context in all of this. People with diabetes are already, from day one, at double the risk of stroking compared to their non-diabetic counterparts. Their entire vascular system is already under a state of heightened stress. The idea that they could be unknowingly consuming an ingredient that further constricts their already vulnerable blood vessels and severely impairs their body's ability to fight off deadly clots is a devastating, cruel irony. It's akin to handing a person bailing water out of a leaking boat a new bucket that, unbeknownst to them, has a giant hole in the bottom. It represents a catastrophic betrayal of consumer trust. Professor D'Souza's final piece of advice in the press release should now echo in all of our minds. Given the epidemiological study that inspired our work, and now our cellular findings, he stated with academic caution, we believe it would be prudent for people to monitor their consumption of non-nutrient sweeteners such as this one. He is urging all of us to become vigilant food detectives in our own grocery aisles. Check the labels of everything that says sugar-free, no sugar added, or keto. Look for the word erythritol. Be aware that it sometimes hides under the more generic, innocent-sounding umbrella term, sugar alcohol. If you see either of those names on an ingredients list, you are now armed with the scientific knowledge of what it could be doing inside your body. The world of food science and nutrition is a complex and ever-shifting landscape. What is hailed as a health miracle today can be revealed as a significant risk tomorrow. Staying informed and questioning the marketing is your single greatest power as a consumer. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on critical health news like this, and you believe in the power of independent research that holds industries accountable, make sure you are subscribed to our channel and have those notifications turned on. We will always be here to dig deep and bring you the unvarnished, unfiltered truth. So let's bring it all home. Erythritol, a massively popular sugar substitute found in products from Splenda to Truvia, actively marketed as a safe and ideal option for diabetics, has now been directly implicated in a laboratory setting with the precise biological mechanisms that are known to cause strokes and heart attacks. It constricts the vital blood vessels that feed our brain, it unleashes a torrent of inflammatory free radicals, and it sabotages our body's natural, life-saving ability to deal with blood clots. This research is a profound, sobering wake-up call. It's a reminder that FDA-approved does not mean zero risk, and a natural origin story from fermented corn does not guarantee safety at the microscopic cellular level. The relentless, decades-long search for the pleasure of a sweet indulgence without the calories may have inadvertently and tragically led us all down a far more perilous path than we ever could have imagined. The next time you reach for that product promising a guilt-free treat, pause for just a moment. Turn it over. Read that tiny print on the back. What you find there, armed with this powerful new knowledge, might just be the most important health decision you make all day. It might just save your life.